Greetings and salutations, and welcome back, old friends, and hopefully some new friends. We've been seeing quite an uptick in new subscribers. Welcome, old friends and new friends. Tonight, we have a very special night for you because I have been thinking quite a lot lately about viewing the world of UFOs and aliens through the lens of history. Because I think once you do that, it really gives you a clearer picture of what is happening now. A wiser man than me once said that people who are unaware of history are doomed to repeat it. Um, there has been quite a rallying cry for disclosure lately. But checking in and doing some historical research, we find out that this is nothing new. In fact, this has been going on for decades now. And in fact, I happened to come across the posts of one Robert Schaefer. For those unaware, he's been investigating UFOs for 50 years. 50 years, that's a long time to dedicate to a subject, even one as mysterious and enigmatic as UFOs, but that he did. And he has been posting these amazing old newspaper articles, essentially echoing what we're hearing right now, is that members of the government are going to finally tell us all the truth about the UFOs and the aliens. And it gets very interesting from a historical perspective. I've been saying it many, many times. All of this has happened before, and it will all happen again. His blog, Bad UFOs, is one of my favorites. It's badufos.blogspot.com. And the link to visit his blog is in the description of this video or podcast. I highly encourage you to check it out. Most recently, he's going after Uri Geller for posting completely and totally fake things constantly. And it's interesting that today Uri Geller posts another completely and totally fake image that was from an episode of the X-Files. So his blog is sort of a guide to the truth behind the so-called UFO truthers. And I highly recommend it. Joining me to talk about the promises of disclosure. And I'm going to be asking him the most important question is this time really going to be different? And we'll get to hear from a man who has been heavily involved in this for 50 years, Mr. Robert Schaefer. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here. Yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same. You know, we heard even back when I got started in this, I mean, the Condon report with the University of Colorado study was current events. You know, it wasn't something in ancient history. People were still arguing about it. Are they fair? Are they biased? And different people.
It wasn't a cover-up. Yeah.
Right. But yeah. 1970s. Let's see who was saying this in the 70s. You go Robert S. Carr and who the hell else, and then in the 80s you've got our friend Stringfield. In the 90s. I mean, it's just it never ends. See what's happening now because of all this publicity is a lot of people are being brought into ufology and the study of UFO claims and analysis for the first time. And that's to be expected because of all the publicity and so on. So, and now people are just looking at it casually and gee, that's nice. I don't know. Well, this doesn't matter. But what matters is when you get people, and now you'll find people on Twitter who have many thousands of followers and yet who are clearly UFO newbies, and they don't understand this. I mean, you mentioned the Roswell slides. And they say, Roswell slides, what's that? When did that happen? Was that before Tom DeLonge came along? I mean, well, yeah. So here they are, people trusting in their judgment, and they don't really know what is happening, what has been happening, and so on. But yeah, it's almost like a pandemic, if you will. That every few years, or more likely every couple of decades, a decade or two, big swell of excitement comes up about UFO disclosure. The government is going to, is going to reveal what it knows. It's got all these crash saucers and so on. And this just happens from time to time. And then it gradually, when it isn't revealed, people kind of lose interest and move on to something else. But then new people come in when new claims are made about saucer disclosure.
It's a vicious cycle, I've noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. And the way, I mean, if you think about it, they're not saying that, well, there was one saucer crash somewhere once and it was amazing and they covered it up. I just said, what, 30? What's the latest? What was this I heard today?
30 or
One of
40,
these
yeah.
experts saying 30 to 40. I forget how many Strengthfield had. I think he had 37 independent sources or something. So, I
All
mean, yeah,
anonymous,
dozens.
though, right?
Yeah, but no evidence. None of these people had anything that might be called evidence. They had stories, just like this guy Grush and all these other people. Nothing that you could call evidence of any government reverse engineering program or whatever. So, and it just goes on like that.
Yeah, and it seems to be to me that Mr. Grush may be basing his opinions on just literal stories that either can't be proven or don't really have real or verifiable evidence, like this 1930s Italian UFO crash. We've got a known tall tale storyteller that was involved in another UFO crash hoax. This William Brophy is the person who's supplying the details about the Vatican and the cover up. And the original evidence just talked about a crash of unknown origin, right? And
Yeah.
then we get the tack on or the add on. And isn't that what we see quite often, is that these stories grow as more people become involved and another layer gets added and extra details get layered in that weren't part of the original story?
Yeah. But you'd think that, even if maybe you could cover up one or two saucer crashes, when you start to get dozens of them, it's just the sheer number of people involved in this. And why do we never hear from anybody who supposedly did this from inside the government? There's supposedly all these people, presumably dozens, hundreds, probably hundreds of people inside the government somewhere, taking the chisels and breaking apart, crash saucers and trying to pry
Yeah, I would
apart the
think it would
bones.
have to be thousands of people involved
Yes,
to
it would
back
have to be
engineer
thousands of
alien.
people.
Yeah.
And so far, I only know of one person who claims he was in on such a thing, and that's this guy Lazar, Robert Lazar, who I think anybody who looks at it with the least bit of critical thinking realizes he's a hoaxer. I mean, his story's been around for more than 30 years now. Started out with, friend,
George Knapp, yes.
George Knapp, yeah. And in fact, even Stanton Friedman, who was the flying saucer physicist, and he believed all kinds of, he believed in extraterrestrial saucers. And he believed in Betty and Barney Hill abduction case. He believed in a Roswell crash, right? So, I mean, Stanton Friedman was no debunker. Stanton Friedman looked carefully into this, and he wrote a piece saying how Lazar is a fraud. He supposedly graduated from Caltech and went to MIT or whatever. Well, Friedman dug out his high school records, and the guy
And
was
they
in the
were
bottom
terrible.
1/3
Yeah.
of his class. Now, if you are in the bottom third of your class, you are in remedial math and remedial reading, and you do not get into Caltech, guaranteed. Okay, and plenty of other things. He's not a member of the American Physical Society. He would have had to have filed a thesis, and he didn't. And so, I mean, to the whole, yeah. So, I mean, clearly,
Yeah, and
anybody
believe it
that
or not,
believes Lazar is
there's still
just,
people that want to argue. I have somebody in my inbox telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about because
all right.
for one reason or another. And I just kind of go to the kind of really where it gets ridiculous. We've got George Knapp claiming that he knows where some of the element 115 is, and someday he's going to dig it up. And, come on. If they really had smoking gun evidence or proof of alien visitation on Earth, as profit driven as they are we all supposed to believe they wouldn't just throw it down on the table? Like, there's the proof, bitches.
Yeah.
They should have brought it to the hearing and threw it in the middle of the hearing. There's the proof of the aliens, bitches. It's right here. They didn't do that. There's a
That never
reason that
happened.
they did not do that. you
Yeah,
know?
well, they have our arts parks
Yeah, yeah.
that
And
they
our
can.
government wasted apparently millions of dollars studying arts parts. I'm working
And
on
you
a story
realize that
about that.
what we call our arts parts means these are supposed fragments of a crashed UFO that were sent anonymously to Art Bell back 1996 or thereabouts. And supposedly, okay, but it was sent anonymously, and it was accompanied by this preposterous story about my grandfather was a member of the alien retrieval team, and before the alien died, it told him that we are part of it. They came through the Terran Gateway at 32 light years from Earth. It's just, it's bad science fiction. So that is the provenance of this thing, and it was sent to Art Bell, who was probably the least credible guy around, least
Yeah, and
credible
even
guy
he
in
didn't believe it though.
broadcasting.
He said there
Yeah,
was nothing
so
to
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but Linda Moulton Howe ended up with it, and then she sold it to Tom DeLonge, and he sold it to the Stars, and so and now I understand that Gary Nolan has it, and he's analyzing it. I can't imagine what anything he's finding,
Yeah, and
but
a lot of people don't know, Mr. Schaefer, but Linda Moulton Howe hired somebody to do a scientific analysis of it, and he said it was ordinary earthly metals. And she
right,
didn't like
right.
that. And then she said, well, we couldn't recreate this. And he said, yes, we could. And he recreated it, but it wasn't quite exact to the way that the original piece was or something. So what does Linda Moulton Howe do? She fires him and she keeps hiring science guys until somebody finds something out of
So,
the ordinary about this that she could sell it as an alien piece of metal, you know?
yeah,
And
I
you
know.
know what's very clear to me, I'm not a material science guy, but I do know that you could put a piece of anything into a mass spectrometer that does isotopic ratios and tell instantly if that material originated from our star system or a different one. So, you know, these claims of like, oh, we have metamaterials, that's another buzzword everybody's using, or
Yeah, I'm not sure if you really could be that certain and that accurate. I suspect if hypothetically you gathered rock samples from an asteroid in Alpha Centauri or one of the other nearby systems and you compared it to ours, I seriously doubt you could tell any difference, just based on that.
well, I know I think that you can based on the isotopic ratios because
Yeah, but
they
the
would be
isotope,
different from different star systems. They would be slightly out of
well, I'm not
the
sure that's
norms
really
of
true,
ours,
but
you know.
I
Well, yeah,
I
me neither.
think
I'm not a
yeah,
material
yeah.
scientist, but they
I think
should
it
be
would
able to
depend on it
determine
being
this.
from a very distant place or a very different place with very different makeup of stars around there and so on.
Talmad's not a fan of Linda Moulton
Yeah,
House. Says Linda Moulton House is a fraud.
yeah.
Yeah, and here is a real physicist, alien scientist here, says all you need to do is vapor deposit some weird ice chokes onto the metal. There's ways to determine if it came from our star system pretty quickly, though. But these people making these claims never seem to have the data. They just make claims. Like, you know, Tom DeLonge went on Joe Rogan famously and said, oh, yeah, if you hit it with positrons or something, it floats. You know, like, okay, can we see the floating alien
Yeah.
piece of metal? And we never get to see it. But then they sell that piece of metal or you know, enter into some kind of $1 million arrangement with the army telling them that this is, you know, alien metal materials, and our government wastes apparently more than $1 million studying these. It's metal trash. It's
Yeah.
not, you know.
Metal slag, yeah, like the Bob White artifact that supposedly was seen picked up in the desert above where somebody had below where somebody had seen a UFO sighting, go by, and that thing apparently has been exhibited in different places and alien artifact, but it's just a piece of slag from a metal extrusion machine or something.
I
I've got
remember
this
that
on the
story. For
yeah.
the
I
benefit of
mean,
my audience, yeah, I'm going to share
yeah.
this image. This guy made the rounds with this thing for a long time. Claimed that
Yeah.
it dropped off of a UFO somehow.
Yeah.
But again, you know, scientific testing should be able to determine if it's ordinary earthly metal or not. And most experts that looked at this from a material science standpoint thought that it was industrial waste. In other words, like you said, Mr. Schaefer, like slag from,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, like a
from a
smelter or
machine.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when the metal extrudes from a machine that shapes it, some of it gets up on the side. It's like slag, like little trash that falls on the ground and so on.
Yeah, so the history of people claiming that they have crashed metals or metals from you know extraterrestrial spacecraft is not something new here, right? People have been doing this
No,
for
well,
quite some
if you go
time.
all the way back to the 1950s, right? Frank Scully and the crash saucer at Aztec, and supposedly a top scientist had, led a team, and they'd gone out and investigated, and it was I forget what the goofy name they gave him, but it was these two con men who were just making up this story, and this became a huge story in the early 1950s because I think in '52 the book came out, Frank Scully's book, Behind the Flying Saucers. They told the story of the Aztec
Yeah.
crash, the government has picked up all these things and so on. Well, then J.P. Kahn was a newspaper man in San Francisco, and he told his editor that, this is either the greatest story since the crucifixion, or else it's the biggest hoax, since then. So in either case, it's newsworthy. So his editor said, "Okay, go out and see what you could find." So he went and talked with Scully and found out who these guys, Jabauer and so on, who they were not these top scientists. They were basically, one of them was Silas Newton was an oil man, or should I say a kind of
Oil
he
con
was
man.
yeah, a con man, oil man, yeah.
Yeah, weren't they
And
selling? They were trying to sell some kind of machine that could
yeah, they had
locate
some kind of a
oil.
machine that would detect oil in the ground. All you got to do is drive around and you go, "Bzz, oh, there's oil." Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Aztec is another one of those UFO crash stories that turns out to be fake. Now, I'm told that there is some couple that have spent a great deal of time investigating it and they found new evidence. I still have it on my list of things to do. We're going to be doing a special here, a not so brief history of UFO crashes, and we're going from the 1898 Aurora UFO crash to the 1960s Kecksburg UFO crash and everyone in between. But I'm still kind of stuck on Aztec because I agree with you. If there's con artists and those are the major sources for the story, it's likely
Yeah.
fake, but people still like to argue. So I have to go and listen
Yeah.
to some evidence or things dug up by this couple that's been investigating the case for quite some
Right.
time.
I've got it. Well, just go to Bad UFOs and put Aztec into the search box, and you'll come up with I have a posting about it, and tells what the latest story. Because there's a new book on it. Other than the Frank Scully book, more recent one, uh, and
Oh, that gives a little more detail on what a con it was, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I see that. Before the Great Debate, my review of the Aztec incident, and here I'll,
right,
for the
right.
benefit of my viewers and listeners, will share this. This is from his Mr. Schaefer's excellent blog, and yeah, what a great! You could search here in the search box for Roswell. He's got articles about that, for TTSA, for Hal Puthoff, for most major things in the world of UFOs, and you'll find some great information. It's interesting, though, that people still, even though the two major sources for the story were con artists, people still want to believe it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they've got here. You can see that where it says flying saucers. That was the paperback version of the book, of Frank Scully's book. You can see how serious it was. Oh, you can sometimes you can tell a book by its cover, and in this case,
Yeah,
the
but this
cover
one
tells
really
you,
did. It really
yeah,
did. It
yeah,
really did pop off the whole UFO book genre, right? This
yeah.
was like the
Oh, this
original
was
big book about UFOs. Yeah.
this was a huge bestseller, and Scully made a lot of money off it, and actually, I've written quite a bit about this on here, and also in my book about UFOs. And
Well, see, that's what I
he
should have been
didn't,
doing to research
yeah,
this case, just looking on your blog,
yeah,
saved myself a
basically,
lot of
yeah,
trouble, right?
yeah. So
Interestingly, yeah, the other thing is that's so interesting, a lot of people aren't aware, but the name Scully from X-Files came from this man who wrote this book
right,
about the
right,
Aztec UFO crash. And didn't Mr. Scully here go on to write a bunch more UFO books? Like he,
No, I don't think he wrote any more UFO books,
oh,
but
okay.
he as a but you know he actually if you read the part where people are trying to nail him down to say, well, but if this is not true, a journalist shouldn't report it. And he says, well, he makes it clear he has a very sort of say loose relationship with the truth. That well, whatever my readers want to read about, I write for him. It's he's not. In fact, he used to work for what was it, the New York Sun or something. He was one of these very tabloid papers, not sort of a respectable tabloid, but tabloid that made up a bunch of stuff. And but he was willing to defend that. That's
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think that more recently, the person that really popularized the idea of UFO crashes is Len Stringfield.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
But the problem that I have is that he tells some compelling stories, but all the sources are anonymous, which means you can't interview them and
right.
or verify that where he's getting all of this information from. But he claimed to have all of these high-ranking government sources that were feeding
Oh
him
yeah,
information about UFO crashes in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. Um, I'm aware people have said that he did publish stuff with names later or something, but the book that I have, which is his famous Len Stringfield's famous book on UFO crashes, it's all anonymous sources the entire way through. And I'll
yeah.
give you
I'm not
one
aware
or two,
if
but
if
you
if
know,
he ever named any names and that could be followed up. I'm not aware if that ever happened. But this is so many people are so involved in this. I can remember a time when I went into the International UFO Congress in outside of Phoenix, and this was probably about 2015 or thereabouts, or maybe 14, someplace around there. And so I ran into an older gentleman who I won't give you his name here, but I recognized his name because I had already written about him because he was telling some other damn stupid story back 40 years ago, you know. But maybe he didn't remember that I had written this. But that's okay. If I wanted to hear what he had to say. So we sat down, got a beer, and he's telling me, I have it from the very highest authorities that within 3 months, and I mean these people are so well connected with the CIA and everything. They're going to let loose the whole thing, aliens and whatever. Okay, okay. Well, that was I don't know 6 years ago or whatever, or 8 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah,
Oh, 8 years
yeah.
ago.
I mean, yeah. But there's just so many people who tell stories like this. You know, it just goes with the territory.
Yeah, and it seems like this really I have noticed I call it the overhype and over sensationalize. It's like three parts to it. They overhype, they over promise, and then what comes next is that they inevitably under deliver, and then
They don't
stories
deliver
start
at all,
falling
really. Yeah,
apart,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
eventually step three is what I call the big letdown. I think on this Grush story, we're right now in the under deliver phase.
Right.
Oh, we got all this evidence, and okay, but he's not allowed to release any of it publicly. Do you find it kind of convenient that Grush's whole story is constructed like a grift? Like, you know, he can't somehow he's got all this evidence, but he can't tell anybody unless he's in a government skiff because it's classified. Yet the DOD cleared him to talk about alien bodies, alien crash retrievals. So therefore, it can't be classified. And I think
Right.
people are missing that, right?
Yeah, some people miss a lot of things. While we're on the subject of Grush, I wanted to bring up a thought I had. Now, both Eric Weinstein and Sam Harris, who both are supposedly very educated and wise persons, they both received a phone call from somebody claiming to be high up in government, and this was approximately 2 years ago or so. I don't recall exactly when this was, but and they were told, I'm very high up in government, and we're about to do disclosure, and I need help, a very smart person like you, to help prepare the public so that they don't panic when we reveal flying saucers and dead aliens and things. And both of them apparently bit the bait, because if you look on Reddit, I've got links to this all over my blog. If you look at the piece that I did on Grush, the recent one on Grush, and then look in the comments, I've got all the links in there that will take you to what I'm referring to here. One of the things that this mysterious government insider told um, Weinstein supposedly was, one of these days I'm going to fly you out to Colorado Springs and I'm going to show you something that, yes, that's the one. I'm going to fly you out to Colorado Springs and I'm going to show you something that you won't believe. Now, my question is, A, I've mentioned this on several, on Twitter and Facebook and a few other places, and nobody seems to want to bite and to try to get an answer to this. Now he's saying it's reportedly Mellon who made contact. I don't know. That might be true. The reason I'm saying it might be Grush was because they said, I will fly you out to Colorado Springs and show you something that.
Yeah, and isn't that where he lives? Yeah.
Exactly. And if you'll notice also, there was a different thread that says on Reddit that's asking, why is Elizondo going out to Colorado Springs? What is there? Who is there? And I suspect it was because he wanted to talk to Grush and get their stories straight, basically. But but my question is still, who was the guy who punked Weinstein and Sam Harris? They both fell for it. I don't know if they still fall for it now. They still think, or if they realize they were punked. But
yeah, it was interesting that they kind of said it was like kick the can with them too. They kept getting promised that they were going to be shown this mind-blowing information, and that everything the public gets is downsampled and
yeah.
and grainy. But we've got the good stuff, and we're going to show you the good stuff. But yet they never did.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And also I found this, and I thought this was funny. This is Leonard Stringfield's UFO crash retrieval books, The Complete Investigation Status Reports, 1 through 7. And this is $99 for a book with all anonymous sources, to the best of my knowledge and recollection.
I believe that's correct.
So, I mean, I understand the need at times for a source to remain anonymous. But to have an entire book with really fantastic stories and claims being made over and over again throughout the book, and every source is an anonymous source, it doesn't pass the smell test for me of the likelihood of truth, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't get it, and I wonder if Grush's stories actually have some evidence, or are his stories largely just more people? Now we're getting the kick the can, Mr. Schaefer. Now they say, oh, just wait, because there's more whistleblowers coming forward, firsthand witnesses. But my first question is, are they going to have evidence, or are there just going to be more people telling stories without corroboration or any physical proof or evidence?
Well, if I were a cynic, which I am, I would say it'd be more of the same. But you remember that Greer did come up with some very interesting evidence of this secret underground UFO research base. You remember the porta potties?
Yeah.
Line of cars. Here's the parking area for the underground.
Yeah. Well, that came from Greer, not from. That came from Greer, not Grush.
Greer. That's what I said. It came from Greer. But
I'm sorry. I thought you said Grush. Yeah. No, when I saw that, Mr. Schaefer, I had to make a separate video. For those unaware, and I'll put it in the description of the video. It's Mr. Stephen Greer's porta potty base. There's a secret base where they're back engineering aliens. And it's underground, but there's hundreds of cars lined up, and there's a row of 30 porta potties. So if you're if you're working there, working on the alien spacecraft, and suddenly you got to take a dump, you got to go topside and use a porta potty, according to Stephen Greer. Sometimes you can do nothing but make fun of this stuff, Mr. Schaefer, because it gets so ridiculous. And people paid $500 to listen to that.
Yeah,
his historic disclosure event, and he had a bunch of whistleblowers too,
Yeah.
all that had no
Yeah, but
evidence.
our whistleblowers are better than his whistleblowers.
Yeah,
None
their
of them had
stories.
anything, but
They
yeah.
have stories. That's what gets on my nerves. Don't you think people are misusing the term whistleblower?
Oh, obviously.
I mean, to me, a whistleblower has evidence. They have,
Right.
like Snowden
Yeah.
dropped terabytes of data. Here's
Yeah.
the proof.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whistleblowers also face consequences. The only consequences these whistleblowers in UFO land seem to get are, book deals and documentary deals and TV show deals. That's
Yeah.
not the way this works, right?
And conferences where you make a bunch of money on your, like, you give a talk for an hour, then you say, and then I have my breakaway session this afternoon, and it's only $100, and I'll tell you more secrets. And that's
Yeah.
where the money is for these guys.
Secrets for sale. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've often thought that some of the people that have these paywalls, that's where it gets really wacky when you pay the $5 to become a member or whatever, and you get behind the paywall. It gets really, really wacky. Can we talk for a moment about, like, weren't people promising very similar things about disclosure and the government telling the truth as far back as the 50s? Even Adamski and the early contactees were claiming, right, that high-ranking government officials know about the aliens and the flying saucers, and they're going to tell us all the truth, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That goes back. There was a thread on Above Top Secret. I don't know if we can bring that up. I have it as www.abovetopsecret.com/forum/thread
That's going to
126.
be a little hard to
I'll see
find
it.
on the
Yeah.
fly
All right.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, a little searching will find it. And its official disclosure may be imminent. It's by Isaac Coey, a British researcher. Starts out in 1950 with Donald Kehoe, The Flying Saucers Are Real. And then we go to Walter Winchell, who was a nationally syndicated columnist in 1952. Scientists at Palomar Observatory are supposed to have seen a spaceship land in the Mojave Desert. You know, 4 persons stepped out. The U.S. Army may officially announce it in the fall. This is
Oh, I did find
1952.
it. Yeah, I did
Yeah,
find it. That's
yeah,
pretty
Joe,
interesting.
it's got some really amazing stuff in there.
Official UFO disclosure may be imminent.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
And
and here we have
starts
it.
in
Those
1950 and then goes on from there. Al Bender, the guy who invented Men in Black, he said that in 1953, he said the year of disclosure would be 1957, so 4 years. And so when some things were cited and whatever in 57, and President Eisenhower was going to give a talk on, I don't know, Veterans Day or something. They said this Veterans Day talk is where Eisenhower is going to reveal the aliens. Of course, that didn't happen. And
Yeah,
it
Donald
goes on
Kehoe,
from
1950, he predicted.
1950, right?
Yeah, Donald Kehoe in 1950 predicted in his first book, but his predictions subsequently failed. But that did not prevent the book and subsequent books by Kehoe
Yeah,
from having considerable success, or prevent
yeah.
his group, NICAP, from being viewed as one of the most influential and credible groups in the history of ufology. And that's another thing people forget. Before TTSA and this Inner Circle Squad, NICAP was an organization that claimed they were going to bring UFO truth and transparency and disclosure to the United States, and
Right.
that was from 1950.
Yeah, in the
And
60s, and then when NICAP kind of gradually slid and went down the tubes, then you had APRO in Arizona, Aerial Phenomena Research Association, was also a large group from which then MUFON was born. We still have MUFON today, well, all these other groups. So, but nothing, again, it's all the same. Nobody has any proof.
you're a downer, Mr. Schaefer. You're
I
getting
know.
you're
Oh,
getting in the
well.
way of a lot of people's disclosure boners. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that you know that. Do you know how this works? Like, these guys get these guys all ginned up and excited, and they all get disclosure boners, and then the big letdown comes. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, though, I really think there are some severely mentally ill people, because people are saying that Mr. Grush's mental history has nothing to do with this. And the people selling the story, they should have known and told everybody that from the beginning, but they concealed that until it
Right.
was revealed by another journalist. Then they attacked the journalist who's just doing his job and vetting the source, this totally credible, apparently, source. Everybody said he was so credible. And it turns out that he was committed to mental institution. I even had somebody argue with me and send me this big, like a whole bunch of messages over the weekend that I'm a liar. I incorrectly used the term committed. So we looked up the psychiatric definition of committed, and I was correct in using that term. Dave Grush was committed to a mental institution by
Yeah,
a judge.
involuntary. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just an
yeah,
involuntary stay at a mental hospital is a commitment. They're
yeah.
arguing, no,
Right.
it was a temporary evaluation hold or what. No, he was committed. The guy was committed to a
Yeah.
mental institution. So, and I don't know what these guys with these disclosure boners, they think that doesn't have anything to do with this, but don't you think the guy staying in a mental institution, coupled with his lack of releasable, verifiable evidence of any kind, it should be red flags for anybody that wants this to be
Oh, sure,
true?
it should be, and you can always tell the bad faith actors from when they try to hide as much information, negative information as they can,
Yeah,
rather
we
than
call it the
just
lie
bringing
by omission
everything
here.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than just saying, well, on the positive side there's this, on the negative side there's that. Here are the facts. Okay, then we try to go from there. But no, I think, this question of his mental state, I think, is relevant to why does he believe these things so strongly? Why is he so certain that he has, something of value to establish here? But whether his mental state is good or bad or anything else, he still has no proof. Even if his mental state were 100% wonderful, he still would have no proof. So, in a sense, it almost doesn't matter.
Well, when you say things like he has no proof, the disclosure people like to argue, oh no, he submitted all of his proof to the intelligence community inspector general because a lot of that is classified. But it can't be classified because the DOD cleared him to talk about alien bodies, alien
Right.
crash retrievals. So by definition, nothing about alien bodies or alien crash retrievals, according to the Pentagon, is classified. So, but there's this cop out for why he can't just drop the evidence, right? And a lot
Yeah.
of people, Mr. Schaefer, myself included, believe that who he's getting this stuff from, he's verifiably repeating information from Lou Elizondo and from Gary Nolan, two people that were involved in the TTSA techno scam.
Yeah.
So to me, and Eric Davis is also directly connected to him. Jay Stratton, who believes werewolves followed him home from Skinwalker
Right.
Ranch.
Right.
So it appears to me that all of his information may be coming from known wackadoos, and I think that's relevant, right? If they're
That part is
if you're
absolutely,
getting
yeah.
all your information from wackadoos, like it doesn't mean that it's true.
Yeah, well, even if just the fact that it's anonymous, there's no way to know who it's from, and it doesn't matter. It's anonymous. It could be from your own imagination. He could be having a dream of like a really deep dream and write it down. So I mean,
It's from the land of make believe, like the
yeah, it
Pentagon
could be.
UFO program Lou Elizondo ran. It's from the land of
Yes,
make believe, I guess.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you think though that this person Grush is going to deliver any verifiable evidence over time, or are we done with him? That's
I
what he's
can't
got.
imagine where he would get any reliable information from it, especially now. I mean, if I had some secret information, would I go to him and give it? You know, given all that's happened. So, but
Uh, Walter Bosley is here and says the perception management agents are firing up the true believers to bully their narrative into the spotlight. Yeah, and it would appear that that's what's happening, Mr. Bosley, because we asked a question, which I think is I'm going to ask Mr. Schaefer's opinion. Mr. Schaefer, knowing now Mr. Grush's mental problems of the past, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but he's also autistic. Verifiably, he's autistic. And these mental problems. Should anybody be able to ask the question, are people taking advantage of a mentally ill autistic man?
Well, it could be a very legitimate question if they think, he was somebody who, maybe they're thinking, here's somebody we can control, we can tell him what to say. I really don't know. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure
Well,
whose agenda it would be, except somebody maybe wants to, have more money on UFO conferences and, you give more talks and sell more books. And well, these days, nobody hardly buys much in the way of books on UFOs, but TV shows, that's where it is.
yeah, that's
Tom
where the money
DeLonge,
is.
it may have been stupid stuff that he had, but he got what, 2 seasons of a very successful TV show. I can't imagine how much he made, but I'm sure it was not a small amount.
Yeah, Digital Vortex is here with some good points. Says exploit the vulnerable, perpetrate the myth, profit from confusion, obtain funding, and expand tactical advantage. Keep everyone in the dark. The AVIC WZ8 is a significant issue causing real anxiety. Yeah,
What is that?
I don't
I
know
don't know
what that
what that
is.
is.
Yeah, he's going to have to explain it. But Mr. Digital Vortex here, we just covered it. He did a great documentary on the aviary. You remember the
Oh, yes, yes,
aviary?
yes.
He did a great documentary, and I'm so glad that people of different generations will be able to hear that whole story being retold. He did a great documentary on that subject. Oh, by the way, that was another time, right, Mr. Schaefer? The aviary was a group of
Right,
high-ranking government insiders that were sick
right,
of the cover-up, and they were going to tell us the truth
right,
about the
right.
aliens.
Aviary, they were birds. They were singing. Each bird would sing a tune, and then together they would sing this little symphony of disclosure or some such thing. No, well, no, I didn't see his thing. I'm referring back to, I think it was Robert Collins who wrote a book, Exempt from Disclosure, and he's got a list in there of who the aviary are supposed to be. And one of Falcon is supposed to be Rick Doty, although he's the alternate Falcon.
Yeah, there
There's
was two
somebody else.
Falcons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I think, and then who was it? Falcon, and the other was Collins himself, and then they were, John Alexander was one of them, and I mean, and I think Eric Davis or somebody. If these are the insiders, I mean, it's just recycling the same old stories again. We don't have anything new. So yes, but I remember that, and Jim Mosley loved to joke about that in his Saucer Smear. He'd say, "Well, yes, I'm a member of the aviary too. I'm buzzard."
I'm the old buzzard, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
So
But
it appears then, Mr. Schaefer, that through the lens of history, we can see time and time again a bunch of people, either former or current government members, have come forward claiming that they're going to spill the beans on the aliens. We saw it with the aviary. We saw it with members of NICAP. And well, if we go in chronological order, we saw it with members of NICAP in the 1950s. Then in the 80s, we saw it with these members of this aviary group. Then more recently, TTSA had all of these, CIA people that suddenly were going to bring us UFO
yeah,
disclosure. And it appears like every time people do this, all they do is fill their pockets with UFO money and tell us stories that no one can prove or verify. That's why I get frustrated, right?
well, maybe you put your finger on it right there. That's the,
Yeah.
what's the trick? Profit. Gather UFO stories. Profit. Oh, that's how.
And we want to thank
Yeah.
Real Steel Rumblehead for a kind and generous
Yeah.
$5 super chat. Says, you guys are way too grounded here. Stop making so much sense and go wackadoo on us already. Yeah.
Wackadoo, wackadoo, wackadoo.
So you've been here for 50 years hearing promises of disclosure. You don't do you have any reason to believe that this time will be different though?
Oh, absolutely not. No,
No?
it's all
Same
been
old
there.
kick the can?
Right. It's been there, done that.
That's
And I've known so many of these people. I mean, I've known Betty Hill and sat down and talked with her. I even met Kehoe once. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but at least we got a chance to meet him and say hello. And I knew Phil Glass quite well. The great debunker. If ufology is a religion, then Phil Glass is Satan. You know.
he's the bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a thing or two about
Yeah,
that. You should see my
yeah.
inbox, Mr. Schaefer. People don't like when you just I joke that I destroy so many people's delusions that they
Not
need mental help, So I started joking lately when they come and attack me on Twitter. I just offer to pay for their psychiatry or their psychiatric meds,
yeah.
right?
Now we got Travis Taylor here, and he's saying something about Spielberg generational UFO abduction army hybrid
Hybrid
following.
following
Wow,
over 3 generations.
wow, he's out. Can we verify that?
Well, thanks for
Wow.
being a member, Mr. Travis Taylor. I don't think it's that Travis Taylor,
Yeah, I'm
however.
wondering. I mean, he's a little dumb, but I don't think he's that dumb.
Kevin is here and says, I'm positive that the people feeding guys like Grush this info do profiles on their targets to see how receptive they would be to the information. So do you think maybe Grush was targeted and put in place to be the new mouthpiece so that everybody could fill their pockets with some more money and get everybody those disclosure boners going and, more book deals, more TV deals? Could that be what's happening here?
I suspect that Grush would have had to have earned that position, and I think the way he would do it would be to impress people like Elizondo and Mellon and whoever the hell else is involved in this. The usual suspects. If he impressed them with his energy and his willingness to go out and battle for this stuff, then this is the guy we've been waiting for. He's our new champion.
He's the new UFO messiah. He's going to
Yeah,
bring
something
about
like that.
disclosure.
Yeah.
If he can stay out of a mental ward long enough to bring us some evidence, maybe, right? And just to clarify, Travis Taylor says it isn't that
Yeah.
Travis Taylor, but
Yeah,
real
that's what
name.
I thought.
And then he said,
Yeah.
I ain't changing it for no grifter. Good for you, Travis.
Well, okay.
Good for
The
you.
original Travis Taylor, right?
Can you tell us, Mr. Schaefer, what is it that you've been working on lately? Do you have some new blogs on different subjects in the works? And what do you got coming up on your
Well,
blog?
I've been writing basically. I've been kind of reacting to what's happening. That whatever
I saw
is in
that,
the
yeah.
news. And so I tried. I wrote about the aliens in the backyard in Vegas, and I was going to write something about the UFO from 29 Palms. I'll probably get to it eventually, but because I'm thinking that there's that old. If you listen to the oldies radio channel, and they have this song, it was the Andrews Sisters about the lady from 29 Palms, and she had 29 Cadillacs and everything, because all those Marines would go out there and throw things, gifts at her, and I think the UFO should have a song like that. Where we have to.
Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell wanted to buy 29 Cadillacs. So they put out this completely fake story about flares. Let me ask you a question, though, on a serious note on that story. They said they investigated that story for 2 years. Do you think that they knew that this was flares and they manipulated the data and put it out anyway? Because now even the person that took that film apparently is saying that those guys are full of it. Everybody knew it was flares.
Well, I really wouldn't know that for sure. If you think about when we had this, NASA had its UFO investigative committee, and you remember they couldn't figure out that they were convinced that the go fast object was going fast instead of moving very slowly, and it's just being passed by the aircraft at a high rate of speed. It looks like it's moving backwards. If that fooled them for 2 years, maybe the flares could fool them for 2 years.
Yeah, I would
I
think.
really don't know.
I would think, and I noticed that you're going after Mr. Geller on your blog recently for posting Uri Geller, fake psychic.
Yeah.
You gotta love him. I follow him just to laugh at the stuff that he posts.
Yeah.
he posts the most ridiculous, debunked fake stuff and claims that like a government insider said it to
Yeah, exactly.
him.
And then I got down there from Scott
My
Bender. I
friend from the
found the
CIA sent this to me this
yeah.
morning, and I wanted to share it with all of you. It's so stupid. It's so
This is the
stupid.
guy who actually made the thing, the artist, the CGI artist, the graphic artist.
Yeah, and I wanted to share
Yeah,
some of these articles. You have Jerome Clark interviews Len Stringfield because there's some interesting historical perspective in there
yeah.
about essentially disclosure, right? Disclosure's
1978,
coming.
1978. Yes.
So we've got a story from the 1950s that the government's going to spill the beans. We've got stories from 1978 that the government is going to spill the beans. Interesting, and you filled out some stuff. David Jacobs has told me he finds
Yeah.
crash disc stories inherently unbelievable because he says a secret of that magnitude could not be kept.
No, they
That's the
can
guy
keep
who
the
got
secret
caught,
of yeah.
yeah, with the
He
panties.
thinks that they're abducting people, they're floating people out of their houses, out of their windows, and up to flying saucers. That kind of thing can be secret. The secrecy can be maintained, but not on crash saucers.
Yeah, and here's Stringfield explaining all of his anonymous sources.
Yeah.
I've proved. I'm not saying I've proven anything. I haven't. The main weakness in the case stems from the fact that I cannot use the names of people who have viewed these things. They've asked me not to use their names or even release any identifiable details that would put them in jeopardy.
So
Yeah.
good are they?
Yeah. And what do you think of this trope that Grush and others are in fear of their lives because people are going to, murder them for telling the truth about? Is that just stagecraft to dress up the stories?
Oh, it's probably just something they saw in the X-Files.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
And you have some others. Expert predicts UFO admissions, and this is from 1968. Let me bring that
Yes,
one up.
that one was Stanton Friedman was predicting disclosure 1968.
Stanton Friedman did that? I never knew
Yeah.
that. That's
No,
interesting.
which one are you reading? Or
Oh,
'cause
hold
I
on.
think
I'm gonna share
yeah,
it here.
I'm
This
pretty sure
is
the 68 was Friedman, and maybe it was a different year.
yeah,
Yeah,
nationally
yeah,
acclaimed expert on
Stanton T. Friedman.
unidentified flying objects said in Dallas Saturday that scientists and military men are about to lift the laughter curtain and reveal that flying saucers are real.
How many? 55 years ago was that? My goodness.
September 29th, 1968. Disclosure's right around the corner, friends.
Yep.
This is a very somber episode of our show here, Robert Schaefer. I just want to tell you that you are ruining everybody's disclosure boners tonight.
Oh,
The
well,
disclosure boners are just deflating all over America now because I would think if you're a sane and rational person and you see that this stuff has been promised since the 60s, the 50s, the 70s, and nothing ever happens, though.
right.
We never get to the evidence part. A lot of predictions here. It's unfortunate, I suppose,
Well, I
right?
think the only proper symbol for it is Lucy and the football. Charlie, I promise I will not pull the football this time.
I think of that analogy all the time too. Yeah, and how many
And
times?
how stupid they are. It's like the boy who cried wolf for 50 years. At some point, you don't blame the boy, you blame the people who are stupid enough to believe him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that I like that analogy of the Lucy and the football because
Yeah,
that's what these UFO grifters do. They're like, this
that's right.
time we're going to have evidence. This time it's going to be a different Charlie Brown, and then they pull it away at the last minute again, right?
And he goes flying through the air.
Yes, and we have a request from the audience. Haya Denimug says Stephen needs to put disclosure boners on a shirt. We're going to do that.
Well, it'd be
We're gonna,
X-rated, wouldn't it?
yeah, I don't care. We'll sell it. Yeah, we're going to sell it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we have some plans to sell some Bob Lazar merchandise too, because
Oh dear.
but we're going to make him a pimp on the shirt. We're going to call him like Space Pimp and have like hot alien chicks dancing behind him. or something like that,
All right. Yeah.
So I noticed too that you did cover specifically this Trinity UFO case, and if you don't mind, I'll be pulling some of that and sourcing some of your work for my special report on the UFO crash retrievals. You did a great job on this Trinity
Yeah.
Trinity UFO crash story crashes and valet melts down. Yes,
Yeah. He
he
couldn't
he
handle it.
he could not handle being wrong about this. But you know what? My first sort of indication that that story was fake was Paula Harris being involved with it, because she believes Billy Meyer and everybody, Bob
Oh, she's
Lazar, Billy
worse.
Meyer.
She's worse than Billy Meyer. You know what exopolitics is?
Yeah, that
Um,
Michael
uh,
Sala garbage. Yeah.
right. And they've got something about Nazi bases on the moon or something like that at exopolitics. And she teaches at the Exopolitics Institute, Paula Harris.
Oh
So, I
my
mean,
gosh.
she can't say, well, I don't, don't agree with them. Well, why are you teaching at their university then, or whatever they call it? But yeah.
Kevin Randall said, I just want to point out that Valet and Paula said that there was no documentation. The physical evidence that was talked about didn't exist in today's world, other than a couple of pieces that, when analyzed, didn't demonstrate an extraterrestrial origin. And this is another one of
Yeah.
those stories. We've got
Well,
crash retrieval.
other than
Yeah.
that, it's amazing.
Oh, here you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exopolitics today. The
Yeah.
journey
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
UFO research to exopolitics pioneer. she's an
Oh,
she's
yeah.
They invented their own. And then we have Francis and the
Yeah, well,
fairies.
I'm saying that this is, kind of like, so Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy wrote all the Sherlock Holmes stories. He was considered a great writer and a very clever guy and whatever. And yet, in his old age, or should we say in his dotage, he fell for this. These girls, he believed in fairies because of theosophy. It's one of the teachings of the theosophists. And Conan Doyle was dabbling in theosophy. And so these girls came up with it. They basically just cut out like little pictures of fairies and stuck them on sticks and got pictures of each other with the fairies. And Conan Doyle believed this and said, here's proof of theosophy. And now, I mean, it's a huge embarrassment, hanging around his neck. And I'm suggesting this Valet, this Trinity thing, maybe Valets, Cottingley fairies, because if you go back to that other posting, I'm trying to remember which one exactly, but I quote from Valet, from his book, his autobiographical science, forbidden science, that he talked to Stringfield, and Stringfield told him, I have 37 different sources or something, but then Valet said, but he doesn't have any proof. None of these are, proof in any real sense, have any proof. So, but that was 1970. I'm sorry, 1989, I think, that he wrote that. And he talked to Stringfield. By the present time, he's believing a story that's just as crazy as this. So this is not the Valet of old.
Oh, yeah, I agree on that one. But I guess you get too deep in and you just want to believe, right? So
Well, either
I
that
was
or
surprised that he got involved with that story, and specifically with Paula Harris, because she is really kind of
yeah.
wackadoo out there.
Well,
So
that is absolutely true. But I mean, maybe she showed him a passport to Magonia. Who knows?
yeah, and you say on finishing Vallée and Harris's Trinity, the reader would be forgiven if they wondered if the Jacques Vallée who co-authored this book were the same Jacques Vallée credited with writing Revelations, or the recently reissued Passport to Magonia.
Yeah, I said somebody else wrote that, but I quoted it.
Yeah, highly
Yeah,
prized for its
yeah,
being inventive and groundbreaking and revelations of a focused critical examination of the stories about alien abduction, crash flying saucers, and dead aliens, secret alien bases, and cattle mutilations. Trinity is an unfocused, raggedly composed, eye-rollingly credulous mess of a book. Why don't you tell us what you really think about the book? And by the way, I'm upset because I bought that book, and a lot of people I know bought that book. And then the whole story comes crashing down that it was all a fake story. So to me, I think he should refund everybody who bought the book, right? You got to give refunds out, Mr.
Well, I
Valet.
don't think
You
it
don't
works
just
that way,
keep the
but
money and run. He
sure
took the
you
money
do.
and ran. He
Sure
just
you
took the
do.
money and ran.
Well, Frank Scully, right? How many books did he sell?
Yeah, yeah. But they never give the money back when the story turns out to be fake. We mentioned the Roswell slides. You know, Jaime Maussan made, I think, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars from that, and
Yeah,
just
he made
kept
a
all the
bundle.
money.
Yeah.
Just kept all the money. And for a long time, they doubled down, claiming that you know, the Men in Black, it couldn't have been a museum piece and all of this stuff, right? When you get really caught, you got to bring in the Men in Black to explain away your thievery and fraud, right?
Well, yeah, that's one way to do it. Uh, that's useful information, a useful invention. I mean, no, I think that he's they once they you see for the benefit of those who didn't really follow that story as it was unfolding, for several months, maybe 6 months, we kept hearing about these Roswell slides. Nobody saw them except in the most tiny little, like the little icon, a very blurry picture, but not you couldn't really analyze anything. Although you could still be rather skeptical because think about it. If this thing is obviously, if it's a dead alien in a display case, a glass display case, and it has some kind of uh, a placard written in it,
Yeah,
attached.
you want to read the
I mean,
placard.
yeah. I mean, but the point is, if this was a secret dead alien that I wanted to hide from the world, would I put it in a, a glass case and put a label on it? I don't think so. So obviously, it's not that. And then finally, what happened was finally after that stupid show in Mexico City, where they all went and made
Yeah,
fools
it
of
got
themselves.
debunked as soon as they released the
As soon
clear
as they
version of
released
the
the one that
image.
was clear enough, then somebody took it in this software called Smart Deblur that could, essentially unblur the placard, and then you could read it. It says mummified body of 2-year-old boy. And then
Yeah,
somebody else figured out where it was, and it was from a museum in Arizona or New Mexico someplace. And this was, 60 years or 80 years ago. But the point is, it's
yeah. And there seems to be a trend too of people using dead babies to sell fake alien stories. We saw it with the Star Child skull. We saw it with the mummies of Peru that were like glued together from different body parts. And
yeah,
here is the Roswell slides. Kind of a sad that
yeah.
there's just some dead child in a display case. But yeah,
Well, it was a mummy. It was, dug up by the anthropologists. They're
yeah, and
archaeologists.
and but there was a happy ending to that story because I hear that they returned the body to the ground. They
Yeah,
returned it
I
to
think
it.
that had already been done, and these pictures are
Yeah,
old. Yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah
By the time
the
that this story came out, the body had already, I think, been buried.
yeah, and here we see the placard, the mummy of a 2-year-old child was
Right.
found in 1896 on the ledge in front of the second story of Montezuma Castle. So, and that was present, that placard was present the whole time, but they gave us a
Yeah.
super grainy version of the image so that you couldn't read the placard. I
I
mean,
think
that,
this is a different version. I think it's a different photo. It was taken. I don't think that's one of the two that
oh,
came
okay, I'm
from
sorry.
this
I
guy from
just
Adam
grabbed
Dude. No,
that. Yeah.
it's the correct display, but it's a different photo.
Oh,
So
you're
yeah,
right. You're right. I
yeah,
found the
yeah,
original. I found one of the
yeah,
originals, but it's hard to let
yeah,
me find that. Yeah. That it's hard to make out the placard on some of the
yeah.
images. Yeah. That so this is the lie by omission, right? They just forgot to tell us what
Well,
was
no,
on the
they didn't know what
placard,
it
or they
was either.
blurred
No,
it, or
this thing came up. It was at somebody's estate sale that this guy Adam Do, who did movies. He did like sports movies. If you wanted like a movie for your sports team or something, he would do that sort of thing.
sure.
And I think somebody, his family, his sister, or somebody was going through that thing, right? Of the and of course you can't read anything there, but with the proper software, they were able to actually do that with a sufficiently high resolution on the shelf there on that. But I mean, if this is a top secret alien body, why would you put it in what's obviously a museum? And look, there's somebody standing there on the other side looking at it. I mean, really, yeah, let's all put our dead alien on display here.
don't let things like facts and evidence get in the way of a good story you could sell. You got to say though, it does look unusual.
It looks spooky, yeah, that's for sure.
It's spooky and unusual.
Yeah, and of course Dolan, he goes there to promote the thing, and
he helped to sell the lie, and then he jumped and ran away, and he acted like he was not at all responsible for helping sell the lie. And he too kept all the money. Like they paid him to be a speaker at the event and all that. He kept the money. Just fantastic hoax that was. And I remember the excitement around it, and even some of my close friends that were into UFOs and aliens were like, "You're buying the pay-per-view, aren't you, Stephen?" I go, "No, I'll come over to your house if you're dumb enough to buy it, because that is not an alien." And they're like, "You don't know, Stephen. We're finally going to get the truth about Roswell." I go, okay. $50 later, you find out it wasn't quite what they purported it to be. So what do you think, Mr. Schaefer, and we'll leave you with this, what do you think is going to happen next for this whole Grush story? Is it just going to fizzle out and fall apart, or are they going to keep kicking the can and trying to keep it alive?
Well, I think it's going to gradually fade as gradually more and more people realize that this guy Grush has nothing really to say other than, I heard some interesting stories about crash saucers. So I suspect it just won't go anywhere. But there will be others. Somebody has to come up with a new,
new grift.
Has to have some little, new grift, or it has to be a new angle somehow. If you just say the same thing as all these other people said, you won't get too much traction. But if you come up with an interesting story, maybe tie it into something, or
yeah, that's very common.
Who died recently or whatever.
Yeah, I've often said that's very common. If you want to sell your grift, you got to attach it to something that people have already heard of and believe might be true, like Roswell. We've got the Roswell Rock, the Roswell Slides, the alien autopsy. All were tied directly to the Roswell event. All had nothing to do with the Roswell event, but that was what was the hook that was used to help sell it.
Yep.
Well, the description of the video or podcast here contains the link where you too can visit Mr. Robert Schaefer's excellent blog. And I love that he calls it Bad UFOs. Bad UFOs and bad UFO people. He covers quite detailed a lot of the grifters that are selling garbage. And it's a public service. So I want to thank you for doing that, Mr. Schaefer. Somebody's got to keep these grifters honest, right?
You're welcome. Well, you can tell it's a bad UFO if you could see the string holding it up. That's a really bad UFO.
Definitely. Okay, well, we're going to let you go. We thank you for being here. Hope you won't be a stranger.
Oh, my pleasure. Be happy to come back. We'll talk. We'll talk about whatever's happening then.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, friends, we went a little bit over time. We're supposed to do an hour. We're at an hour and 10 minutes, but I still have some time to share with you. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this evening with great attendance here tonight. And also tomorrow, we're going to have an exciting announcement about a new distribution partner. Truthseekers will be available on an exciting new platform that we're partnering with, and we'll have more details for you on that and more details tomorrow. We're still setting everything up, but here we grow again, and I'm very, very excited about that. Another opportunity to grow. I'm supposed to remind everybody each and every show here that we are a viewer-supported show. and viewers like you help us continue the journey. And we want to thank each and every one of you who do so. You Patreon supporters, you channel members, super chatters, PayPal pledgers, and more. The show is here because of you. And by the way, over the weekend, I got attacked and called a grifter again. And every time these true believers attack me like this, I try to explain to them, if I really cared about money, wouldn't I just do the believer shuffle and make 100 or 1,000 times more in income here? It doesn't make any sense. Like, that whole debunker industry thing is a fallacy. Debunkers don't make anywhere near the money that the people selling the stories that are being debunked are making. And that's just reality. But through the kindness, generosity, and support of you, the viewers, we have been able to remain fiercely independent here. We don't have to sell out to any of the people selling the false story. We can bring you the real story, and we'll continue to do that. And we appreciate all the help. So here's our wonderful announcer. The show is not over. I will be back to take comments and questions from the live chat in just a moment. We'll be right back, friends.
Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truthseekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Now there's a great way to support these broadcasts and show your support. Please be sure and check out our merchandise store. Links to our 2 merchandise online stores are in the links to this video or podcast. The Amazon storefront ships super quickly in the United States, Great Britain, and in many more places. Amazon may not ship to your country or location. If that's the case, hit our second merchandise link in the description and visit our Redbubble storefront. Merchandise from our Redbubble storefront ships worldwide, but may take longer than Amazon. We've got a great deal of super high quality merchandise for you to choose from, including t-shirts, phone cases, sweatshirts, and even pillows. The feedback from our products have been overwhelmingly great. Quality products and fast shipping. People all over the world are buying some merchandise and showing their support of the show. Praise the cash! Praise the cash! Praise the cash! We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, who are buying some merchandise and helping us to continue this journey. Thanks for being here. This is Truthseekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truthseekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat group during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truthseekers. Truthseekers.
Greetings and salutations, friends. And we are back. I want to thank Mr. Ian for the new bumpers. We've got a bunch more. I got to get them ready for the show. So we'll take some questions and comments from the live chat. We're going to call this one a quick one. Jesse Nothing 33 says, some people in high places in the military and intelligence truly believe that we, the people of this country and this planet and this galaxy and this universe, do not deserve to know the truth. It could be, or Jesse Nothing 33, as I believe they may know no more than we do. They believe that the citizens of this country have no right to know what's going on. Well, that I will agree with you on. The rich, the powerful, the elite, the ruling class always think that they should be entitled to information that no one else is. You know what? I love that in the United States, congressmen and senators are allowed to invest in stocks and bonds and things, and they have insider information. Somebody needs to explain to me how that's not insider trading. In fact, there is a whole group of investors I'm aware of that just buy whatever Nancy Pelosi's husband buys, because Nancy Pelosi is allegedly in on all sorts of information, like, oh, the government's going to invest heavily in solar companies in the coming year. So suddenly, that's a hot stock because they're going to get a huge influx of government tax breaks and cash from the government. Suddenly, it's just a completely corrupt system that we live in. I don't know what the alternative is. Randy, 1979, didn't hear this one. Did you hear about the Canadians who found a frozen dead alien while out snowmobiling? No, but you can send me a link or DM me on Twitter with links to that. I'd be happy to check it out. Yeah. Trolley Troll is here, and thanks for being a member. Says maybe they think they are advertising to grown men who live in their mother's basements, hanging out in chat rooms and eating Hot Pockets. Hey man, I used to love Hot Pockets before I was on this diet. By the way, I'm going to do an update on that. I have been on a new diet, the carnivore diet, and it's kind of getting on my nerves. It's been I'm on my 6th week now. The first month of the carnivore diet for those, and by the way, you should always consult your healthcare professional. I'm not a healthcare professional. Don't take advice from me. I'm just recounting my own personal experience with it. But when I started out, I have some weight to lose. That's majorly why I'm doing this. And what I can tell you is that so far, I have lost a grand total of about 15 pounds in 6 weeks. And all I'm doing is only eating meat and animal products, meat, butter, eggs, cheese, nothing else. And actually, mostly I'm eating meat. I mean, I'm not eating, sticks of butter or like lots of cheese. It's definitely working, and I will say this: I feel better right now than I have in years doing this. I don't know if it is cutting all of the processed foods. Oh, but my point was before this diet, I like hot pockets, man. You just throw those things in the microwave, instant eat, right? Definitely not good. I don't think it's good for you to eat processed food, any kind of processed food. So there's got to be a reason why I'm feeling so great. I have an incredible amount of extra energy that I didn't used to have, and this comes at an incredible time for me because I've got my children home for the summer, and they've run me ragged all day. Their mother leaves in the morning and comes back at night, and just all day I'm the snack bitch, and I'm running around literally trying to put fires out. They get into all kinds of stuff. So the extra energy was much appreciated during this time right now when I need it. I need to get up earlier, and I need to be going and active and doing things all day. Diet's working so far. A little frustrating, however, that I never thought I would say this, but I am sick of bacon. I am sick of beef jerky because that's the only snack you can have is like beef jerky and Slim Jims, right? Or turkey jerky or any kind of jerky, I guess, is the only snacks that I've been eating. Mostly I've been eating beef jerky if I'm hungry between meals. And the first couple of weeks on the carnivore diet, I got to tell you, you'll enjoy because you're eating bacon and eggs constantly. And I don't know, I ate an awful lot of steaks, and my wife even got me some bison steaks. Uh, but after a while, I'm getting sick of the same foods over and over and over again. Like how many times can you eat chicken in a week or pork chops? And you're supposed to eat the fattier stuff, so no chicken breasts. You want to eat chicken wings and chicken thighs, the fattier portions of the chicken. I don't know. I'm getting pretty desperate. I'm gonna go buy some lamb chops because I realized I haven't had lamb in a while. Tomorrow I'm making ribs, pork ribs. Haven't had pork ribs in a while. That the only downside to the diet is you get completely and totally sick of eating the same stuff. And in about a month in, you're sick of all the stuff you've been eating, which for me has been mostly steak, but I've also been eating like salmon fillets and a lot more fish. I've been eating a lot more shrimp and fish and tilapia and flounder. Now I have some lake trout that we just got. But what I can tell you is 6 weeks in, I think I'm 16 pounds down. Started at 202, now right around 185, 186. So if you do have some weight to lose, I think the reason that it works is because you're not eating processed food and you're eating zero carbs. So, I got to tell you though, I'd probably kill somebody for a pizza or a plate of pasta. And this diet is getting nerve-wracking because like today I made my very favorite pasta dish, which is sausage crumble pasta. It's a great dish. It's just some cherry tomatoes cut up and some ground sausage and a little bit of salsa in there, and you let that stew forever, mix it in with the pasta. It's absolutely delicious. Didn't eat any of it. So far, the only time I've cheated on my diet was to eat a salad of all things. Yes, my wife gets these delicious Caesar salads somewhere, and I cracked and ate a salad. I don't think that's going to, have any detrimental effect, but I haven't had any carbs except for a few flour tortillas once in the diet so far. We had tacos and I had flour tortillas, but just a couple of flour tortillas. Otherwise, I have been very strict with this diet and it seems to be working. I'm going to keep going for another, I believe, 6 weeks. Okay, comments or questions for me, please put them in. Buzz Bomb, always cleanse before starting a new diet. You mean like a colon cleanse? I've heard you should do that. Never really did that. Oh, you're right. Do a good gyro for that lamb taste, brother. That's a good idea too. I got to find a place that sells gyros or euros. Um, oh, okay. Trolley Troll Troll is talking about what Dan Bongino always talks about on his radio show: grown men living in their mother's basement, eating hot pockets and trolling people online. I had somebody trolling me online, and they always say that about me. Oh, you're living in your mother's basement. You're YouTube. You're a failure. And, I joked with somebody over the weekend. I just told them that I live in $1 million house. I don't, but I thought that would shut them up. I'm surprised somebody hasn't screenshotted that and told everybody, you don't need to, he doesn't need any money. People always need money, regardless of their situation. You always need an income. Digital Vortex said, did you see that Area 503 contacted Ross Coulthard's alleged source for the supposed map patch allegedly used on the UFO program, he claims? The account was immediately deleted. Yes, I did see that. Really, really interesting. Matt G, what's wrong with being here? I need to better myself and get out of this situation. Oh, you're talking about Hawaii? People's houses just got burned down. It can all change in the blink of an eye. Yeah. Hot Pockets are really gross. Well, I mean, if you're hungry, when I was still drinking, especially, Hot Pockets were the go-to, man. Put in 4 of them bitches in the microwave and drunk eat them. Yeah. Amy Collins says, I would love a diet of beef jerky, bacon, and eggs. I haven't had bacon in a couple of weeks now. For a while, that was my go-to. If I was hungry late at night or something, I would just eat a pound of bacon. I put it in the air fryer. It's delicious, right? And my wife got this good, like smoked maple bacon. It's delicious. Amy Collins says, is the lake trout an actual species or a moniker? I just caught some lake trout at the lake. Well, I don't think it's an actual species. I mean, I think it's just where it came from. I don't know. I just got this big chunk of trout, and it was labeled lake trout on the package. So I don't know. Normally, I eat flounder, tilapia, or bluefish. So I haven't had any trout except for when I catch a trout, like at the cabin or something. Occasionally, I'll catch a couple of trout and fry them up, clean them and fry them up. But I haven't had any store-bought trout, I don't think, ever in my life. It just goes to show you, Amy, I'm so sick of everything that I've been eating, that anything different. And I just remembered today, too, things like pork roll and scrapple. That's still meat. Scrapple is a Philadelphia thing, though. For those unaware, scrapple is made by, they basically take all the trash, the bones, the bone marrow, like the pigtails, the pig ears, all the trash meat off of pigs, and they put it through grinders and stuff and spice it. And I think it's delicious, though. I just don't want to really know how they make it, or you really won't want to eat it anymore. So yeah, on this diet, I'm getting a little desperate for something different. So we're gonna be trying some lamb chop, maybe a leg of lamb. I'm going to see if I can get some venison as well. There's a specialty meat shop near me, but it's very expensive, so I've been trying to avoid that. I mean, sometimes I just have like 4 or 5 sausages for dinner, like Italian sausage. Sometimes I have 4 or 5 hot dogs for dinner. No bun, just mustard and hot dogs, We have one of those hot dog spinners. I love that thing. Farmed trout is nothing like the natives. I don't know. I've never had, pork roll. You guys don't know pork roll? I can imagine you don't know. I can imagine that you don't know. People call it Taylor pork roll. and pork roll is a regional kind of a thing. I'm going to try to show it to you. I don't know. It's some kind of pork, and it's like a pork sausage that they then slice down. This is pork roll. And it was very common in my house growing up that was for breakfast. My mom would make like pork roll and eggs, or she would make you a pork roll and egg sandwich on toast or something like that. Now, I don't know. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, makes a good breakfast sandwich. So I'm allowed to eat lunch meat and things, but I've been trying to avoid that because of all the preservatives in it. Peanut butter sandwich. I don't know if I'm supposed to eat peanut butter sandwiches. I know I'm not supposed to have seed oil like olive oil and things like that, but I've been cheating that a little bit. Just throw a little bit in the pan isn't going to kill me. Mostly, though, I've been eating steaks. All different kinds of steaks. My wife even got bison steaks, and those were delicious. And I finish them off. I put a big splat of butter on the top of them right before it's done cooking. Kevin says, my wife cooks pork hock in a certain way, and it's absolutely delicious. Good for your skin, too. I used to get ham hock. Is that what you mean, a pork hock? The ham hock? I used to get ham hocks and make red beans and rice. And when I was single and poor and a starving artist, I ate a lot of ham hocks. And you just throw it in the pot and make red beans and rice. And it really flavors it up good. A lot of that falls off the bone, so you get a little bit of meat with your red beans and rice. It's delicious. Paul Shields says olive oil is not bad for you. Yeah, it depends on who you listen to, though, Paul Shields. Some people say seed oil, all of it is bad for you. It depends on what you read, right? Trolly Troll says, hey, I live in my mother's house, too, but only because she can't take care of herself, and it is way cheaper than putting her in an assisted living facility. I hear you, Trolly Troll. After my father died when he was very young. I think he was 52. I moved back home to take care of my mother, who was a career housewife and would never go get a job and take care of her own, house and bills and things. And so I did that for over 20 years, Trolly Troll, until my mother passed away. So I think that makes you a good son. The Bible says, honor your father and mother. There's no better way to honor them than to take care of them in their old age. Matt G, I'm just mad at the world lately. My father's getting old. He turned 87. Well, God bless him. He's probably going to pass away sooner than later. I got a lot of stress. Sorry to hear that. And I'm sorry to hear about your father. I hope he's doing well. God bless him, though, 87. Kevin says, the package says pork hock, so maybe the same, but not sure. Yeah, I think that's the same thing. It's a ham hock. It's like a bone with a bunch of meat around it, right? Pintos and ham hock in the crock pot. David Wilcock likes fresh pork roll, allegedly. Oh, no. Oh, Buzzbomb says, I'm taking care of my mom like that right now. Well, God bless you, and God bless your mom. She's lucky to have a son that's, a good son and will take care of her in her old age. I'm hoping that my son Xavier, will change my diapers and take care of me when I'm old and crap in my own pants or whatever. Actually, I hope I'm never a burden to my son. I'd rather be in some old folks home or something and just not be a burden, right? Bottled Water says, I hope everyone is doing okay. I'm working my way through some crap. Boy, it looks like a lot of people are having a hard time. Keep you all in my prayers. Smoked pork hocks or neck bones in red beans is delicious. If you've never had it, put basil in it. Try it. Makes it the bomb. I do put basil in my red beans and rice, along with a bunch of other stuff. Buzzbombs, thank you, brother. That's the way it should be. Yeah, your mother's lucky to have somebody to take care of herself. Travis Taylor says, but she can still support herself. Oh, Travis Taylor says, I'm putting my mom in the old folks' house ASAP because she is a MAGA Trump. Yeah, you like Trump? We're putting you in an old folks' home, lady. Yeah. Michael White, lost my dad a year ago. The world is not the same. Yeah, I lost mine when I was very young. He was only 52. So, You never know, too, Michael, how much time you have. Like me and my father wasted an awful lot of time not talking to each other. And I'm sure we would both agree that if we knew that he had so little time left, we would have just patched things up and made the best of our time before he died so early, you know? Um, and he and I were polar opposites, and we really butted heads our whole lives. But the older I get, the more that I realize that he wasn't such a bad guy. He was just always extremely stressed out, and the guy was a great provider. He worked two jobs my entire life. He always had two jobs, and like a full time job during the day, and then a part time job at night. Always two jobs. Um, and then he was one of those people that couldn't sit still, a lot like me. So when he wasn't working, he was out in the garage working on stuff that he would like fix up and sell. He was always fixing like lawnmowers and selling them, and boat motors, anything with a motor on it. He was a great mechanic. So he would just get old junk that people were giving away and fix it up and sell it. And yeah, you never know how much time you have, so you make the best of it. My mom is still kind of taking care of me, but I have to take care of her if she starts to lose it. My father's slowly losing his mind, like one would at that age, says Matt G. Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah, Steven's cooking channel, Patty. Well, on a new channel for the cabin build, I'm going to be doing a lot of cooking. Um, we're going to make wood stove pizza. We're going to make red beans and rice. We're going to make that sausage crumple pasta. I'm telling you, that's the best pasta dish you will ever have, and it's super simple. All you need is some salsa, some cherry tomatoes, and some ground sausage, and some pasta. It's delicious. Some spices. And that's my favorite pasta dish. When I do finally crack from this diet, I'm going to eat that. Chris G says, I got to take, there are no aliens. There never were. People are just seeing the spiritual beings, mostly demons, the things that people have always been seeing. I have a lot of minister friends, and one of them is convinced that UFOs and aliens are all demonic in nature, Chris G. He believes that since they're deceivers, they want to deceive people into believing that they're aliens so that they can manipulate people. That's as good a possibility as future humans or interdimensional species or aliens from outer space, I guess. Matt G, I hear that, says, I'm tired of working and paying taxes to a government that's trying to murder me. Yeah, isn't that interesting? And Bottled Water says, how much worse can it get? Oh, wait till this election. Oh, it's going to get crazy again. We're entering riot time, friends. We're definitely entering riot time. And I think there's going to be an awful lot of riots coming up. We'll see, right? Buzzbomb says, I'm leading towards that paradigm myself. Well, you'll like an upcoming episode that we have on that very topic. Amy Collins says, Worf says, cellular peptide cake with mint frosting. Delicious. Yeah. Bottled Water says, look at what I say before that. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Bottled Water said, lost my job, wife, stuff, house. All I have is my dog and clothes and pew-pews. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Divorce, that'll bankrupt anybody, right? I'm sorry to hear that. I've been very fortunate. I do whatever I can and just try to keep the missus happy, because the last thing I want to deal with is divorce and child support, right? And in my case, I would have to pay child support for the rest of my life or for the rest of Zach's life, because he's special needs. You don't stop at 18 with a special needs child. You just pay forever. So, yeah, all my friends are divorced or getting divorced or on their third marriage. Every single friend and most of my family members that are left as well. It's very difficult to have a successful marriage today. I don't know how my wife and I have defied the odds. We just try to work it out. We just always try to work it out, Patty says, Trump being indicted again, going to be a bumpy ride. I'm not sure if it's true, but one of my friends who's kind of a big right-wing guy says that every time they indict him, he goes up in the polls. So But then it could be interesting that this could be the first election in history that both of the candidates are under indictments, criminal indictments, right? Well, Biden hasn't been yet, but a lot of people saying he's going to be indicted or something for taking money from the Chinese or whoever. I don't really keep up. I think they're all criminals, and picking one side that you think is less criminal doesn't win you any points with me, right? Kevin says, "Oh Lord, election year is upon us. We're effed." Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. You never know. I mean, I think that the vitriol has gotten so bad lately that I can't imagine that it's just gonna, it's just gonna go fine, right? I can't imagine that the election's gonna happen and there'll be a peaceful transition, and I just can't imagine. I think there's gonna be lots of riots and a lot of problems with that situation. Yeah, Buzzbomb says it's gonna be a wild ride, my friends. So hold on. Yeah. Buzzbomb, no weapon set against us shall prosper. Yeah, that's a great biblical verse. Kevin says, you got to be very picky nowadays with who you marry. Vet the bejesus out of them. Well, I think a lot of people rush now. There's a lot of people rush right into marriage. My wife and I were together for 13 years before we got married and living together for many of those 13 years. I think for 10 of those 13 years, we were living together. So when we got married, it wasn't a big shock to anybody. We'd been together and living together for years. So, and if you are successful with a relationship and living with a woman for 10 years, making it official it shouldn't change too much. And it didn't. The children changed a lot because then the whole focus switches. But we were very fortunate in that we got our time alone. We traveled together. We had a lot of, adventures, just the two of us, before we ever had children. Yeah, B. Baker says the guy prosecuting Trump is a complete loon, and he's the kind of guy you want to hire when you know you're going to lose, but he'll do it showy. He has a terrible court record for wins. Yeah, he's sort of like a relief pitcher. It's odd that they bring him in. Both sides want to kill each other's side. You guys are nuts. We're all just rats in a cage being shocked. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way, right? Matt G says they sleep together too quickly. Well, that could do it as well. I don't know. I think I'm at the point where I feel sorry for young people today because there's a lot more temptation and there's a lot more there's dating apps and all these ways that people hook up now. When I was coming up, you had to go places to meet women, like you had to go to clubs or bars or go to social events to try to meet women. Now you could just sit on your phone and meet women. And I think there's a lot more temptation now, and the proliferation of porn everywhere. It's so easy to access now. If the left doesn't get their way, they will riot like they did in 2020. Yeah, and some would say if the right doesn't get their way, they're going to riot like they did in January 6th. So, yeah, Buzzbomb says, bonding as a couple is essential before kids. Amen to you. Yeah, I think that we were very smart to make sure that we had time together before the children came, because once those children come, you don't have time for anything else. And of course, going anywhere with the child takes 3 hours. Nobody tells you that. And by the way, speaking of Canada, Justin Trudeau and his wife have separated. Yeah, I heard that. Somebody said that she decided that she wanted a man. She decided all of a sudden that she was wrong and she liked men. So But hey, Justin Trudeau's interesting. I'm glad I don't live in Canada, though I think they do have a saner, fairer, more rational system of government than the United States. And of course, they have nationalized health care, which I am a big supporter of. I think everybody should be able to get health care. Troll doesn't want to say something. It would be politically correct, but I said it for him. Yeah. Patty says, sounds like Corey Good's lawyer. Yeah. Oh, yeah, a quick update on that. Thanks for reminding me, Patty. So people have been asking me about the Corey Good lawsuits. After 3 or 4 years now of his constant hyping these lawsuits, and he's bringing down legal hammers, nobody's seen the inside of a courtroom yet. The cases haven't made it anywhere near trials. Now, the judge who's been presiding over both of his cases is retiring. And I don't know if that means they got to start the case all over again or there's just getting a new judge assigned, but it doesn't look good that they've been at it for 3-4 years now and no resolution to these legal cases. And now the judge that was presiding over the case is resigning from the case and retiring, and a new judge is being appointed to the case. It's pretty crazy. Matt G says, I never in a million years thought my country would get this bad. It's part of the reason I'm so depressed and feel hopeless. We can't get timely health care. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. I kind of have this thing like, not my circus, not my monkeys, not my monkeys, not my circus. I treat myself as a spectator to the shit show, and I feel a little better. And of course, I don't vote. So none of this is my fault because I didn't vote any of these clowns into office, right? Oh, yeah. Buzzbomb says, how rational could it be if they let a clown like that lead? Thus he was installed, just like our freaking clown. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a real big believer in democracy anymore. I used to be, but it just seems like they give us a choice between two criminals, and then we've all got to pick who the least criminal of these two criminals are somehow. And I just don't understand it. I wish that we would get back to people caring about things like the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. We have seen our so-called rights just being completely eroded and taken away from us bit by bit under the guise of security, the Patriot Act. Oh, by the way, that's interesting. Did you know that Grush's lawyer was one of the major architects of the Patriot Act and a big James Clapper protege? So I think it's interesting that people think that Grush is going to bring his disclosure, and his lawyer is the guy that took away a great deal of Americans' freedoms under the guise of security, right? Just give up these rights and then you'll feel safe. No, I don't feel safe, and you took my rights away. Well, we can thank Grush's lawyer for that Patriot Act, which, by the way, they just kick the can and they will never, ever get rid of that. They just have the right to do all those things. I believe what George Carlin said as well, in that you don't have rights. You have privileges, and those privileges can be taken at any time the government wants to, right? That they find a way to shut you up or they assassinate you like they did with Martin Luther King, right? Yeah. That's right. You have no choice. Like Carlin said, just to give us the illusion of choice. Yeah, you don't have choice. You have the illusion of choice. And isn't that great? Archaic Revival says neurologists make $200,000 to $300,000 working 14 hours a month. Yeah, but I think you got to be pretty specialized and pretty talented and pretty special individual to literally be able to do brain surgery on people. When I had my brain aneurysm, I got to know some neurologists, and some of them are very, very incredible people. So I've got nothing bad to say about neurologists. Archaic Revival, they saved my life, and I'm thankful to them for every day. Our leaders are using the boiling frog analogy to slowly take away our power inch by inch. Yeah, they'll be coming for the guns and everything else soon enough. Don't worry. But it's okay. I got an apocalypse cabin. They're not finding my weapons, and they're not getting any of them. The Patriot Act was actually for the Patriots. Yeah. I know we haven't had good, timely health care in years. If even we ever really had it in the first place, says Matt G. We need a prescription, sure. But if you need serious surgery, yeah, that's a problem. People wait forever, and it's not a good system. I went to college, says Trolly Troll Troll, in Bellingham, Washington, and we drive up to British Columbia for beers because the drinking age in those days was only 19. It was only a half hour's drive away. Oh, well, that's interesting. I like British Columbia. British Columbia is a cool place. The Wohole world is 1984, says Randy. Yeah, I didn't ever know that 1984 was a prediction. I thought it was a fiction book when I read it originally, but apparently it was like a planned, methodology. Amy Collins says there is nothing in the Corey Good case that shouldn't have made the whole thing dismissible inside of a month. Yeah, imagine being one of the people that he sued frivolously like that and spending $15 or $20 or $25,000 on lawyer fees for 3.5, almost 4 years now, I think, and you don't even live in the state that he sued you in. You've never even been in the state that he sued you in, and they won't dismiss it. It's crazy. It's crazy that he's been allowed to use the legal system like that as well. I mean, at some point, I hope that guy faces karma. I mean, he's already lost most of his following, so I think that he's on his way out. He's kind of just a laughable joke of a figure now. Still trying to hold on, giving everybody secret space updates after under oath he admitted that he'd never been to space. Some secret space program insider. Corey Good truly is one of the most toxic individuals in the whole space. For him to sue all those people and make all those accusations, and then it turns out he's taking money out of accounts that doesn't belong to him after accusing other people of extortion from him, right? Allegedly took money from those accounts. Well, he admitted that under oath. So yeah, it's just a crazy story. Someday I hope somebody makes a movie about him and doesn't give him a penny. Maybe somebody will do that, and we'll get a really great telling of the toxic space clown story, right? Yes, Buzzbomb says 1984 was more like predictive programming. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Buzzbomb at 7445 says law speak is the devil speak with duality and lies. Yeah. Randy 1979 says Corey Good just takes everybody's money and everyone's money and runs. Yeah, I truly believe that. I absolutely positively believe that. It's amazing. It's a great business. You just tell fairy tales and rake in thousands of dollars every month. It must be nice. Some of us have to work for a living, right? Well, friends, we have done our due diligence for today. I am going to bounce on out of here, but we will be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to change my banner because sometimes we go for so long here that it's tonight at 9 p.m. But I can still, for the next hour, say that tomorrow's show is our next show, and it will be on 8/15/2023 at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I hope you will join us. We're going to have a very very good presentation tomorrow that I have been busily preparing for quite some time now. We welcome you to join us. It'll be a very informative and data-rich evening tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to thank all of you kind and generous benefactors, you PayPal pledgers, you Patreon supporters, YouTube channel members, you super chatters, super thanks people, super sticker purchasers, and of course, you PayPal pledgers. We want to thank Dan for a kind and generous PayPal pledge of $2. Thank you, Dan, for your kindness, generosity, and support. Much, much appreciated. And oh, very kind of you. Message from John says, I sent you $13.99 so you could maybe try YouTube Premium. It would eliminate those pesky ads when you do your presentations. Otherwise, use it for whatever the channel needs. You're doing some great work. For an Ambulax, longtime show supporter with a kind and generous $14. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. We thank all of our kind and generous benefactors. We will be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you will be here with me. We're going to have a great presentation tomorrow night, something I've been working on for quite some time. You know, one of those shows that you know that I'm dropping some great information. Be sure you're here tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we thank Troll for the last minute wonderful super chat of $5, no message. And we thank you also, Troll, for being a member. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. It is much, much appreciated. And of course, we thank you for helping us to praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. A longtime show supporter and YouTube channel member, Troll. Thank you for your kindness, Troll. Randy 1979 reminding everybody, good night, everyone. Great show, Stephen. Yes, thank you, Randy 1979. So we thank you all for joining us. Also, wanted to mention that I'm not sure, but I'm hopeful that we're going to get this new set going. I've been saying that for a while now. We're waiting on a backdrop to come from China, of all places, because it was so big. I don't know why, but it's coming from China. First, they said it would be here in 2 weeks. That was 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now they're saying it'll be here in this coming week. So we're only waiting on that. And then it appears that we should be able to get the new set going. I have pre-booked a bunch of in-person guests here. We've got 3 or 4 people already signed up that are coming to the actual new set, in-person set, where we'll be able to have in-person live interviews and broadcast them to you. Can't wait. So that's all I got for you, friends. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you'll be here with us. That's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.